The coffee shop smelled like cinnamon and burnt espresso, the kind of comfortable chaos I'd grown to love during my lunch breaks. I sat by the window with my laptop, editing grant proposals for the nonprofit where I worked, when the little boy caught my eye. He couldn't have been more than 5, with dark curls and enormous brown eyes, standing alone near the pastry case. He kept looking around, his small face creased with worry. No parent in sight. I glanced around the cafe. Everyone was absorbed in their phones, their conversations, their own worlds. The boy's lower lip trembled. I saved my document and stood, crossing the space between us. "Hey, sweetheart, are you lost?" He looked up at me, and I saw fear there, real fear. Not the kind children have when they can't find their mother in a grocery store. "My uncle," he whispered. "He told me to stay here. But there were men." The front window exploded. I heard the gunfire before I understood what was happening. The sound cracked through the air, sharp and terrible, and people screamed. The boy's eyes went wide with recognition. Not surprise, but recognition. And that terrified me more than anything. I didn't think. I grabbed him and threw us both to the floor, covering his small body with mine as glass rained down around us. His heart hammered against my chest, too fast, too hard for such a little person. More shots. The espresso machine shattered. Someone was crying. The boy didn't make a sound beneath me, just pressed his face into my shoulder like he'd done this before. That thought made my blood run cold. The shooting stopped as suddenly as it started. Car tires screamed outside. I stayed frozen, covering the child, my own breath coming in ragged gasps. "Is everyone okay?" someone shouted. Slowly, people began to move. I lifted myself slightly, keeping the boy shielded. "Are you hurt?" I whispered. He shook his head, those big eyes locked on mine. "You saved me." I didn't know what to say. My hands were shaking. "Let's find your uncle." "Luca!" The voice cut through the chaos like a blade. I turned my head and saw him. He stood in the doorway, and the air seemed to change around him. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. But it wasn't his appearance that made my breath catch. It was the way he moved, controlled, precise, dangerous, and the way everyone instinctively stepped back. His eyes found the boy first, then me. Dark eyes, nearly black, that seemed to catalog everything in a single glance. My position over his nephew, the glass in my hair, the way I was still protecting Luca even now. "Uncle Dante," the boy breathed with relief. The man, Dante, crossed the room in 3 strides. He knelt beside us, and I caught the scent of expensive cologne and something else. Gunpowder. "Are you hurt?" His voice was quiet, but it carried absolute authority. Luca shook his head. "She saved me. The lady saved me." Those dark eyes fixed on me, and I felt pinned, examined. "Move aside," he said. Not unkind, but not a request. I scrambled backward, my legs unsteady. He lifted Luca easily, checking him over with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. My stomach turned. This wasn't random violence. This was targeted. "Who are you?" Dante asked, still holding his nephew. Emma Reeves. My voice shook. I just saw him alone, and then the shooting started." He studied me for a long moment. In the background, I heard sirens approaching. "You threw yourself over him." It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway. Something shifted in his expression. Not softness exactly, but recognition. He handed Luca to a man who'd appeared at his shoulder, another suit, this one with a visible shoulder holster, and stood. "The police will want statements," he said. "Tell them you saw nothing useful. You were on the floor the entire time." "But nothing useful," he repeated. And this time, it was definitely not a request. My hands were still shaking. I nodded. He reached into his jacket, and I flinched before I could stop myself. But he only pulled out a card, pressing it into my palm. If you need anything, medical bills, therapy, anything, call that number. I looked down at the plain black card. No name, just a phone number embossed in silver. When I looked up again, he was already moving toward the exit, Luca secure in his bodyguard's arms. But at the doorway, he paused and glanced back at me one more time. I couldn't read his expression. Then he was gone, and I was left standing in the wreckage with glass in my hair and a stranger's blood, not mine, not Luca's, on my sleeve. The police arrived. I gave my statement, told them nothing useful, just like he'd said. Afterward, I went home to my tiny apartment and sat on my couch, still wearing my ruined clothes, staring at the black card in my hand. I should throw it away. I should forget this ever happened. But when I closed my eyes, I saw Luca's terrified face and Dante's dark eyes and knew with absolute certainty that my normal life had just shattered beyond repair. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the gunfire, saw the window exploding, felt Luca's small body trembling beneath mine. At 4 in the morning, I finally gave up and made coffee, sitting at my kitchen table and staring at my phone. The news sites had already posted about the shooting. Gang violence, they called it. Possible territorial dispute. They didn't mention Luca. They didn't mention Dante. I pulled up the black card I'd photographed before hiding the physical one in my jewelry box. Just a number. No name, no context. Who was this man? And why had those people tried to kill his nephew in a crowded coffee shop? I knew I should let it go. Get back to my safe, normal life. But I couldn't stop thinking about the way Dante had looked at me. Like he was memorizing my face, like I'd done something that mattered. Work was impossible. I sat at my desk, pretending to review budgets while my mind replayed every second of yesterday. My coworker Sarah noticed. "You okay? You look exhausted." "Didn't sleep well," I managed. She squeezed my shoulder sympathetically and returned to her cubicle. I stared at my computer screen, seeing nothing. At lunch, I didn't go to the coffee shop. I couldn't. Instead, I walked to a different cafe 3 blocks away, ordered soup I didn't eat, and tried to convince myself everything would return to normal. That's when I saw the car. Black, expensive, tinted windows. It sat across the street, engine idling. I told myself I was being paranoid. This was downtown. Expensive cars weren't unusual, but it followed me back to my office building. My heart hammered as I walked faster, not quite running. The car kept pace, smooth and unhurried. When I reached my building's entrance, I risked a glance back. The rear window lowered slightly. I couldn't see inside, but I felt watched. Then the window rose, and the car pulled away. I stood on the sidewalk shaking, while people flowed around me. Was that him? Or the people who'd shot at Luca? I couldn't tell which possibility frightened me more. That evening, I came home to find a package outside my apartment door. Plain brown wrapping, no return address. My hands trembled as I brought it inside, part of me screaming not to open it. I opened it anyway. Inside was a new laptop, top of the line, and a note in precise handwriting. "You mentioned your laptop was damaged. This is compensation for your bravery. D." I sank onto my couch staring at the expensive machine. How did he know my laptop had been damaged? I'd barely noticed the crack in the screen myself until this morning, which meant he'd been watching, or having me watched. I should be terrified. I should call the police. Instead, I ran my fingers over the note, tracing the strong, controlled letters. He'd written this himself. Not a secretary, not an assistant. Him. My phone rang, shattering the silence. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. "Hello?" "Emma Reeves." That voice, dark and controlled and absolutely certain. "You received the package. How did you—" I stopped. Stupid question. "I can't accept this." "You can. You will." A pause. "You protected what's mine. I protect what's mine." The possessiveness in those words sent a shiver down my spine. "I'm not yours." "No." he agreed, and something in his tone made my breath catch. Not yet. I should hang up, should block this number, should run. Why are you calling me? I whispered instead. Because you threw yourself over a stranger's child when bullets were flying. His voice dropped lower. Do you understand how rare that is? How valuable? I'm not. I just reacted. Anyone would have. No. Absolute certainty. They wouldn't have. I've been watching the security footage. Everyone else ran or hid. You ran toward the danger. The fact that he had security footage should alarm me. It did alarm me. But beneath the fear was something else. Something warm and dangerous. What do you want from me? I asked. Silence stretched between us. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a weight I didn't understand. I don't know yet. Then he hung up. I sat alone in my apartment holding my phone, the expensive laptop gleaming on my coffee table, like evidence of a world I didn't belong in. But God help me, part of me wanted to. 3 days passed without contact. I almost convinced myself it was over. Then Luca appeared at my office. I was leaving for lunch when I saw him standing on the sidewalk with a different bodyguard, this one younger, with kind eyes that didn't match the gun I could see beneath his jacket. Miss Emma! Luca's face lit up when he spotted me. My heart clenched. Luca, what are you doing here? I wanted to thank you properly. He held out a drawing, crayon on construction paper. A little boy and a woman with yellow hair like mine, surrounded by hearts. I made this for you. I knelt down, taking the picture with careful hands. This is beautiful, sweetheart. That's you saving me. He pointed at the woman. You were really brave. Tears pricked my eyes. You were brave too. Mr. Castellano is waiting in the car, the bodyguard said gently. If you're willing. I looked past him to the black sedan. The rear door opened and Dante stepped out. He wore charcoal gray today, still impeccably tailored, still carrying that aura of controlled power. But something was different. He looked tired. The kind of tired that came from not sleeping, from carrying too much weight. Our eyes met across the sidewalk. I should say no, should take the drawing, thank Luca, and disappear back into my safe life. Just for a moment, I heard myself say. Dante's expression didn't change, but something flickered in those dark eyes. Satisfaction, maybe, or relief. The bodyguard ushered me toward the car. Dante held the door himself, waiting until I slid inside before joining me. Luca scrambled in after, settling between us with complete trust. Luigi, drive, Dante said quietly. The privacy screen rose, sealing us in expensive leather and tinted glass. You shouldn't have brought him here, I said, keeping my voice low so Luca wouldn't hear the accusation. It's not safe. Nowhere is safe for him. Dante's jaw tightened. But he wouldn't rest until he could thank you properly. Luca was tracing the stitching on the leather seat, humming softly. So innocent, so unaware of the danger he represented. Who are you? I asked. Really? Dante looked at me for a long moment. You haven't searched for answers on your own? I was afraid of what I'd find. Something like approval crossed his face. Smart. He glanced at his nephew, then back to me. My family has business interests. Interests that some people want to disrupt. By killing a 5-year-old? His hands flexed, the only outward sign of emotion. By sending a message. The casual way he said it made my stomach turn. This was his world, violence and messages written in blood. The laptop, I started, was nothing. He dismissed it with a gesture. Your laptop was damaged protecting my nephew. I replaced it. End of transaction. Except it's not. I held his gaze. You're having me followed. He didn't deny it. You became interesting to certain people when you protected Luca. I'm ensuring you remain safe. I don't want protection. What you want, he said softly, dangerously, is irrelevant to what you need. My breath caught at the sheer arrogance of it. But beneath my anger was something else. A tiny, traitorous part of me that felt safe, protected. I hated that part. Uncle Dante, Luca interrupted. Can Miss Emma come to dinner? Luca, please? You said she was special. You said she was brave. Dante's eyes never left mine. I said many things. My pulse hammered. What else did you say? He leaned closer and I caught that scent again. Expensive cologne and danger. That you didn't run when you should have. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. That you're either very foolish or very dangerous. Which do you think I am? His gaze traveled over my face like a touch. See, I haven't decided yet. The car slowed to a stop outside my office building. Too soon, too fast. Dante reached past me to open the door, his arm brushing mine. The contact lasted barely a second, but I felt it like electricity. Keep the drawing, he said. Keep the laptop, but understand something, Emma Reeves. He waited until I looked at him. You're being watched, not just by me. If you see anything unusual, anyone following you, any strange calls, you use that number I gave you, immediately. Fear crystallized in my chest. How long? Until I eliminate the threat. He said it like he was discussing the weather. Casual, certain. I climbed out of the car on shaking legs. Luca waved at me through the window, his smile bright and innocent. Dante didn't wave. He just watched me with those dark, unreadable eyes as the car pulled away. I stood on the sidewalk, Luca's drawing clutched in my hand, and realized with absolute clarity that I'd just been claimed by something far more dangerous than bullets. I'd been claimed by Dante Castellano's attention. And God help me, I wasn't sure I wanted to escape it. The flowers arrived at my apartment 2 days later. 24 white roses, pristine and cold as snow. No card, no message. But I knew who'd sent them. I put them in water anyway, hating myself for it. They sat on my kitchen counter like evidence of my weakness, beautiful and untouchable. Sarah noticed my distraction at work. You're seeing someone, she accused over coffee. You have that look. What look? Like you're thinking about him constantly and it scares you. She grinned. Spill. I forced a laugh. There's nothing to spill. But there was. Dante texted me once, late at night. The roses are called patience. I thought it fitting. I stared at that message for 20 minutes before responding. Patience for what? His reply came immediately. For you to stop running from what you already know. I didn't answer. What could I say? That he was right? That every day I woke up thinking about him, about the danger and the darkness, and the way his voice wrapped around my name? The surveillance continued. I spotted different cars now, always black, always expensive. Men in suits who weren't quite looking at me, but clearly watching. I should feel violated, threatened. Instead, I felt considered, like I mattered enough to protect. It was a dangerous way to think. On Friday evening, I came home to find my apartment door unlocked. My blood turned to ice. I stood in the hallway, phone in hand, ready to call 911, or that other number, the one I'd memorized despite myself. Before I could decide, the door opened from the inside. Not Dante. The bodyguard, Luigi, I remembered, the kind one who'd brought Luca to my office. Miss Reeves, he stepped aside. We need you to come with us. Why? What happened? Mr. Castellano will explain, but we need to move, now. The urgency in his voice cut through my fear. I grabbed my purse and followed him to the elevator, my mind racing. Was it Luca? Dante? Some new threat? The car was already running when we exited the building. Luigi opened the rear door, and I slid inside to find Dante waiting. He looked different, harder. His jacket was gone, his shirt sleeves rolled up, and I could see a bandage on his left forearm. "You're hurt," I said before I could stop myself. "It's nothing." His eyes locked on mine. "There was an incident tonight. The people who tried to kill Luca are escalating." My stomach dropped. "Is he safe? He's out of the city." Dante leaned forward, his intensity radiating like heat. "But they know about you now. They have your name, your address, your routines." The world tilted. "Because I saved him. Because you made yourself visible." No apology, just fact. "My people have been watching you, but so have theirs. They're trying to identify my weaknesses. You became one." "I'm not your weakness. I'm nothing to you." His jaw tightened. "That's not true anymore." The words hung between us, weighted with meaning I was afraid to examine. "What do you want me to do?" My voice came out smaller than I intended. "Stay somewhere safe until I handle this." "And where's that?" He didn't answer immediately. The car turned, heading away from my neighborhood. "With me." "Absolutely not. Emma, I'm not moving in with a man I don't know because of some vague threat. They firebombed your coworker's car tonight." His voice cut through my protest like a blade. "Sarah, they thought it was yours. She's in the hospital with second-degree burns." The air left my lungs. "No. She'll survive, but they're sending a message." He leaned closer, and I saw something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Fear. Real, genuine fear. "They will kill you to hurt me. Do you understand? This isn't a game. This isn't some romantic danger you can flirt with and walk away from." I was shaking. "Sarah is alive because they made a mistake. You won't get that lucky." His hand lifted, hovering near my face before falling back. "Let me protect you. Please." That single word, please, from a man who clearly never begged for anything, shattered my resistance. "How long?" "A week, maybe less. I have people working on eliminating the threat." Eliminating. Such a clean word for what I knew he really meant. "I want to visit Sarah." "No. Dante. Absolutely not." Steele returned to his voice. "You're a target now. Any public appearance risks not just you, but everyone around you. You want to protect your friend? You stay hidden." I hated that he was right. The car pulled up to a building I didn't recognize. Tall, modern, the kind of place that cost more per month than I made in a year. "This isn't your home," I said. "No, my home is too obvious. This is a safe house." He studied my face. "You'll have your own room, your own space. I'm not asking you to." He stopped. "You'll be safe. That's all that matters." We rode the elevator to the penthouse in silence. When the doors opened, I stepped into luxury that took my breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Furniture that probably cost more than my car. Art on the walls that looked like it belonged in museums. "The guest room is this way," Dante said, his voice carefully neutral. I followed him down a hallway, hyper-aware of his presence beside me. He opened a door to reveal a bedroom bigger than my entire apartment. "You'll be comfortable here." He paused in the doorway. "There's a guard outside at all times. You need anything, ask them. You want to leave, tell me first." "Am I a prisoner?" His eyes darkened. "You're under my protection. There's a difference." "Is there?" He stepped closer and my breath caught. We were alone in this beautiful room, and he was looking at me like I was a puzzle he desperately wanted to solve. "Yes," he said quietly. "A prisoner I would chain. You, I'm asking to trust me." "Why should I?" "Because I've killed men for threatening what's mine." His voice dropped to barely a whisper. "And I'm prepared to go to war to keep you breathing." The intensity in those words should terrify me, should send me running. Instead, I found myself leaning in, drawn by something I didn't understand and couldn't resist. "I'm not yours," I whispered. "Not yet," he agreed, echoing his words from that phone call. Then he stepped back, breaking the spell. "Get some rest, Emma. We'll talk in the morning." He left me there, closing the door softly behind him. I sank onto the bed, my mind reeling. Sarah was in the hospital. I was hiding in a safe house. And Dante Castellano was prepared to go to war for a woman he barely knew. The walls were closing in. And God help me, I wasn't sure I wanted them to stop. I barely slept. Every creak, every sound sent my heart racing. When dawn finally broke, I gave up and showered, dressing in the clothes Luigi had somehow retrieved from my apartment. The thought of strangers in my space should bother me more than it did. Everything should bother me more than it did. I found Dante in the kitchen, making espresso like he'd done it 1,000 times. He wore dark slacks and a white dress shirt, sleeves still rolled up, and I could see the bandage on his arm more clearly now. "How bad is it?" I asked. He glanced up, something flickering in his eyes at my presence. "Bad enough to need stitches, not bad enough to matter. Everything seems to matter to you." "Not everything." He poured a second espresso and slid it across the counter to me. "How did you sleep?" "I didn't." He nodded like he'd expected that. "You'll adjust." "Will I?" I wrapped my hands around the tiny cup, needing something to hold on to. Is this my life now? Hiding in safe houses? Watching people get hurt because they know me? This is temporary. You keep saying that. Because it's true. He moved around the counter, eliminating the barrier between us, close enough that I could smell his cologne, see the shadow of stubble on his jaw. "I have people working on the problem. By next week, you'll be able to return to your life." "What if I don't want to?" The words escaped before I could stop them. His stillness was absolute. "What?" "What if I don't want to go back to pretending I don't know you exist?" My voice shook, but I kept going. "What if I can't unknow what I know now?" "Emma." My name on his lips sounded like a prayer and a warning. "You don't understand what you're saying." "Then explain it to me." He stepped closer, and I held my ground even though every instinct screamed at me to retreat. "My world is violence and secrets and calculated risks. Women like you, good women with normal lives, they don't survive here. They get destroyed. Maybe I'm stronger than you think. Or maybe you're exactly as brave and foolish as I feared." His hand lifted, fingers brushing a strand of hair from my face. The contact burned. "I can keep you safe from my enemies, Emma, but I can't keep you safe from me." My breath caught. "I'm not asking you to. You should be." We stood there, inches apart, the air between us charged with something dangerous. I could see his pulse beating at his throat, fast despite his controlled exterior. The moment shattered when his phone rang. He stepped back, jaw tight with frustration, and answered. "What is it?" I couldn't hear the other side, but I watched his expression darken. "When? How many?" A pause. "Double the security. I'm on my way." He ended the call and looked at me with something like regret. "I have to go out. Business that can't wait." "The people who tried to kill Luca?" "Adjacent to that problem, yes." He pulled his jacket from the back of a chair. "You stay here. The guards know not to let anyone in or out except my most trusted people. So I am a prisoner. You're alive." He stopped at the door, looking back. "That's all that matters to me right now." Then he was gone, and I was left alone in the luxurious cage. The day passed slowly. I tried to work remotely, but my laptop felt like an accusation. The guards changed shifts twice. One of them, a woman named Rosa, who looked like she could break me in half, brought me lunch and actually smiled. "Mr. Castellano says you saved his nephew," she said, setting down a tray of food I hadn't asked for. I just reacted. "Most people freeze. You didn't." She studied me with sharp eyes. "That matters to him. Family matters." "I'm not family." Her smile turned knowing. "Not yet." I was getting tired of people saying that. Evening fell. Dante didn't return. I ate dinner alone, showered, changed into pajamas someone had thoughtfully provided. Then I wandered the penthouse, too restless to sleep. I found his office by accident. The door was slightly ajar, and curiosity drew me inside. It was sparse compared to the rest of the apartment. A desk, bookshelves, a single photograph on the wall, Luca, laughing at something off camera. My chest tightened. Looking for something? I spun around. Dante stood in the doorway, jacket gone, shirt partially unbuttoned. He looked exhausted. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to snoop. Yet here you are. He moved into the room, but he didn't seem angry. Find anything interesting? Just that you keep your office like a monk's cell. Something like amusement crossed his face. I don't spend much time here. This is just one of several safe houses. How many do you have? Enough. He sank into the chair behind his desk, running a hand through his hair. The gesture was so human, so tired, that I found myself moving closer. Are you okay? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're in hiding because of me. Your friend is in the hospital because of me. And you're asking if I'm okay? Yes. He looked up at me then, really looked, and I saw the weight he carried. The responsibility, the violence he'd probably committed tonight to keep his people safe. I'm fine, he lied. I should leave, should give him space. Instead, I moved around the desk and did something insane. I reached for his injured arm. Let me see. Emma, please. He hesitated, then held out his arm. I carefully rolled up his sleeve, revealing fresh bandaging. Blood had seeped through in one spot. This needs to be changed. Later. Now. I met his eyes. Where's the first aid kit? He gestured to a cabinet. I found the supplies and returned, kneeling beside his chair. He watched me with an intensity that made my hands shake as I carefully removed the old bandage. The wound was a clean knife cut, already stitched but angry-looking. I cleaned it gently, hyper-aware of his stillness, his breathing, the way he watched my every movement. Who did this? I whispered. Someone who won't do it again. I applied antibiotic ointment, my fingers trembling against his skin. You can't keep getting hurt because of me. I was getting hurt long before you entered my life. His free hand caught my chin, tilting my face up. But I'd take 1,000 cuts to keep you safe. My breath stopped. We were so close, his eyes dark and intense, his thumb brushing my lower lip. Dante, I breathed. Tell me to stop. His voice was rough. Tell me to keep my distance, Emma. Tell me you want to go back to your safe, normal life. I should. God, I should. I can't, I whispered instead. Something broke in his expression. You're going to destroy me. Or you'll destroy me. Yes. He leaned closer, his breath warm against my lips. Probably both. But he didn't kiss me. Instead, he rested his forehead against mine, his hand cradling my face like I was something precious and breakable. We stayed like that, breathing the same air, teetering on the edge of something neither of us could take back. I should finish bandaging your arm, I finally whispered. You should go to bed, he countered. Neither of us moved. Outside, the city glittered with 1,000 lights. Inside, in this quiet room, Dante Castellano held my face like I was the most dangerous thing he'd ever touched. And maybe I was. Maybe we both were. 4 days passed in the safe house. 4 days of careful distance and charged silences. 4 days of Dante leaving before dawn and returning after midnight, always with new bruises, new cuts, evidence of a war he was fighting to protect me. On the 5th day, I broke. I found him in the living room at 2 a.m, standing by the windows with a glass of whiskey. He'd removed his jacket and tie, his shirt streaked with something dark that might have been blood. You need to stop, I said. He didn't turn. Stop what? Hurting yourself for me. I'm not hurting myself, I'm eliminating threats. By bleeding? I crossed the room, anger and fear warring in my chest. Look at you, Dante. You can barely stand. I'm fine. You're not. I grabbed his arm, the uninjured one, and pulled him around to face me. His eyes were hollow with exhaustion. What happens when you push too hard? When you get yourself killed trying to protect someone you barely know? I know you. His voice was quiet, but absolute. I've known you since you threw yourself over a 5-year-old child while bullets were flying. I've known you since you looked me in the eye and refused to be afraid. Don't tell me I don't know you, Emma. Tears pricked my eyes. You can't care about me this much. It doesn't make sense. Nothing about this makes sense. He set down his glass and caught my face in both hands. You should repulse me. You're everything soft and good that I've spent my life avoiding. But instead, his thumbs brushed away tears I didn't know I'd shed. Instead, I lie awake thinking about you sleeping down the hall. I force myself to leave every morning because staying near you is torture. I kill men and tell myself it's business when the truth is, I'm terrified of what they might do to you. Dante, I'm not a good man, Emma. I've done things that would horrify you. I'll do worse before this is over. His forehead touched mine. But God help me, I can't let you go. I was shaking. From fear, from want, from something I couldn't name. Then don't. His breath caught. You don't know what you're asking. Yes, I do. I grabbed his shirt, feeling his heart race beneath my palms. I'm asking you to stop treating me like I'm fragile. I'm asking you to be honest about what this is. What this is? His hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back. This is dangerous. This is me claiming something I have no right to. This is you choosing a life that will never be safe or simple. I don't care. You will. When you see what I really am, I already see it. I held his gaze, refusing to look away. I see a man who loves his nephew so much he goes to war for him. I see someone who protects people even when it costs him everything. I see you, Dante. All of it. He made a sound low in his throat, half groan, half surrender. Emma, bellissima, you're killing me. Then kiss me. For one terrible moment, I thought he'd refuse, thought his control would win. Then his mouth crashed against mine, and the world caught fire. It wasn't gentle. It was weeks of restraint shattering. His hands rough in my hair, his body pressing me back against the window. I gasped, and he deepened the kiss, tasting like whiskey and desperation. My hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, needing more even as my mind screamed this was too much, too fast. But my body didn't care. My body had been aching for this since the coffee shop, since he'd first looked at me like I mattered. Tell me to stop, he breathed against my lips. No. His hand slid down my sides, trembling slightly. Emma, if I don't stop now. I said no. I pulled him back down, kissing him with all the fear and want and reckless need I'd been holding back. He lifted me effortlessly, my legs wrapping around his waist as he carried me away from the window. But instead of taking me to his room, he set me on the couch, kneeling between my legs. His breathing ragged. Not like this, he said roughly. Not when I'm covered in blood and you're scared. I'm not scared of you. You should be. But his hands were gentle as they framed my face. I want you, Emma. So much it's destroying every bit of control I have. But I won't take you like this. Not in anger or fear or desperation. Tears spilled over. Then how? When you're sure. He pressed a kiss to my forehead, soft and reverent. When you understand exactly what choosing me means. When you're not just reacting to danger but choosing this life with open eyes. I am sure. Not yet. He stood, putting distance between us, and I could see what it cost him. Go to bed, Emma, please, before I stop being noble. I wanted to argue, wanted to pull him back down and make him forget his control. But I could see the exhaustion in every line of his body, the weight of violence he'd committed tonight, the fear beneath his desire. So I stood on shaking legs and moved toward the hallway. At the door, I looked back. He was watching me with such longing it stole my breath. "This isn't over," I said. "No," he agreed softly. "It's only beginning." I went to my room and lay awake, my lips still burning from his kiss, my body aching with want. Down the hall, I knew he was doing the same. And tomorrow the world would still be dangerous. Tomorrow, people would still want me dead. Tomorrow, Dante would still leave before dawn to fight battles I couldn't see. But tonight, something had changed. Tonight, he'd finally let me see the truth. He wanted me as much as I wanted him. And that truth was more dangerous than any bullet. The morning after the kiss, I woke to find a note slipped under my door. "The threat is neutralized. You can go home today if you wish. Or you can stay. The choice is yours. D." I held the paper, reading it 3 times, my heart hammering. The choice is yours. He was letting me go. After everything, after that kiss, he was giving me a way out. I found him in the kitchen again, making espresso like nothing had changed. But his shoulders were tense, his movements too controlled. He knew I'd found the note. "It's done?" I asked. "Yes." He didn't turn around. "The man who ordered the hit on Luca has been handled. His organization is in disarray. You're no longer a strategic target." Just like that? Nothing about the last week was just like that. He finally looked at me, and I saw shadows under his eyes. "But yes, it's finished. You're safe." The words should bring relief, freedom. Instead, they felt like a door closing. "I could leave right now?" "Luigi is downstairs. He'll take you wherever you want to go." Dante's voice was carefully neutral. "Your apartment is secure. Your friend Sarah is recovering well. You can return to your life." "And you?" His jaw tightened. "I continue with mine." "That's it? After—" I gestured helplessly. "After everything?" "What do you want me to say, Emma?" His control finally cracked, emotion bleeding through. "That I want you to stay? That the thought of you walking out that door makes me want to burn the world down? Yes, all of that. But I won't trap you in my life because of desire. I won't be the reason you give up everything good and safe and normal. Maybe I don't want normal anymore. You will. Eventually." He moved closer, but carefully, like I might break. "You'll wake up one day and realize you're living in fear. That the man you're with has killed people. That any normal future, children, stability, peace, is impossible. And you'll resent me for it. You don't know that. I've seen it happen." Pain flickered across his face. "I won't do that to you." My hands trembled. "So you're making the choice for me?" "I'm giving you the choice. There's a difference." "Is there?" I stepped closer, anger overriding fear. "Because it sounds like you've already decided I can't handle your world. That I'm too soft, too naive, too precious." The words were torn from him. "Too good for what I am." "I'm not asking you to be different, Dante. I'm asking you to let me choose." "And what exactly are you choosing?" His voice dropped dangerously low. "Be specific, Emma. Because once you say it, there's no going back." My breath caught. This was it. The precipice, jump or retreat. "You," I whispered. "I'm choosing you." The control he'd been clinging to shattered. He crossed the space between us in 2 strides, hands framing my face, eyes searching mine. "Say it again." "I choose you, Dante. Your darkness, your danger, all of it. I—" He kissed me, hard and desperate and claiming. I melted into him, hands sliding under his shirt, needing to feel skin, warmth, proof this was real. "Bed," he growled against my lips. Now, before I take you against this counter. Heat flooded through me. Would that be so bad? Yes. He lifted me, my legs wrapping around his waist. Because when I finally have you, Emma, I'm going to take my time. He carried me to his bedroom, not the guest room, his room, and laid me on sheets that smelled like him, dark and expensive and safe. I reached for him, but he caught my wrists gently. Slow, he said, voice rough. I've been imagining this for weeks. I'm not rushing it. My cheeks burned. I haven't done this much. Something fierce and possessive flashed in his eyes. Good. Dante. Shh. He kissed me softly, so different from before. Tell me if you want to stop. Anytime. For any reason. I nodded, throat tight with emotion. He undressed me slowly, reverently, his hands trembling slightly as each piece of clothing fell away. When I was bare before him, he just looked at me for a long moment. Beautiful, he breathed. So damn beautiful. I reached for his shirt, fumbling with buttons. He helped, shrugging it off, revealing the lean muscle and scattered scars I'd only glimpsed before, evidence of violence, of survival. I traced a particularly nasty scar over his ribs. Does it hurt? Not anymore. He caught my hand, pressing a kiss to my palm. Nothing hurts when I'm with you. He lowered himself over me, skin to skin, and I gasped at the contact. He was warm and solid and real, and I couldn't believe this was happening. You're shaking, he whispered. I'm scared, I admitted. Of me? Of how much I want this, want you. He kissed me again, slow and deep. Then let me give it to you. His hands explored, learning every curve, every response. When he touched me intimately, I gasped, overwhelmed. Okay? He asked, stilling. Yes. Don't stop. Please don't stop. He made a sound of approval, his fingers working magic I'd never experienced. I clutched at his shoulders, lost in sensation, in the way he watched my face, like it was the most important thing in the world. Dante, I couldn't finish, couldn't think. I know, Bellissima. Let go. I have you. I shattered, crying out his name, trembling in his arms. He held me through it, whispering things in Italian I didn't understand, but felt in my bones. When I came back to myself, he was watching me with such tenderness, it made my chest ache. I need you, I whispered, not demanding, asking, Are you sure? Yes. He kissed me again as he settled between my legs. Tell me if it's too much. It was too much. The stretch, the fullness, the way he filled spaces I didn't know were empty. I gasped, and he stilled immediately. Breathe, Emma, just breathe. I did, adjusting, accepting, and then, move, please move. He did, slow and careful, watching my face for any sign of discomfort. But there was no discomfort, just rightness, connection, the sense of two broken pieces finally fitting together. Mine, he breathed against my neck. Say you're mine. Yours, I gasped. I'm yours, Dante. He made a sound like a prayer answered and lost himself in me. I held him, overwhelmed by sensation, by emotion, by the sheer intimacy of being this vulnerable with someone. When we finished, trembling and breathless, he didn't pull away. Instead, he gathered me close, my head on his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. No going back now, he murmured. I don't want to go back. His arms tightened around me. You'll regret this someday. Maybe. I pressed a kiss over his heart, but not today. We lay there as the morning light strengthened, two people who'd chosen each other despite every logical reason not to. And if that choice would destroy us both, at least we'd burn together. 3 weeks of peace, 3 weeks of waking up in Dante's arms, learning the contours of his world, meeting the people loyal to him. 3 weeks of believing maybe, just maybe, we could make this work. I should have known it couldn't last. The attack came on a Tuesday night. We were at a restaurant, one of Dante's places, he'd said, completely safe. I was laughing at something Luca had said when the first shot shattered the window. Dante moved before I could process what was happening. He shoved me under the table, his body covering mine, shouting orders I couldn't hear over the screaming. More shots, glass everywhere, people running. "Stay down," Dante ordered. Then he was gone, moving with lethal grace toward the entrance. I peeked out from under the table and immediately wished I hadn't. 4 men with guns. Dante had none. He never carried in family restaurants. But he didn't need one. I watched him break the first man's arm with terrible efficiency, take his gun, and use it on the second before the man could aim. It was brutal, fast, absolutely ruthless. The other diners had fled or were hiding, but I couldn't look away. This was who he really was. Not the gentle lover who held me at night, but a man who could kill without hesitation. Luigi appeared from somewhere, taking down the third attacker. The fourth ran, but Dante pursued, catching him in the parking lot. Through the shattered window, I saw Dante grab the man by the throat. "Emma!" Rosa pulled me up. "We need to move, now." "But Dante is handling it. My job is getting you out." She dragged me through the kitchen and into an alley where more guards waited. We were pushed into a car, speeding away before I could protest. 20 minutes later, we arrived at a new safe house, not the penthouse, somewhere industrial and cold. Dante arrived an hour after that, covered in blood that wasn't his. His eyes found me across the room, wild and dangerous, checking that I was intact. "Are you hurt?" His hands were on me before I could answer, checking for injuries. "No, I'm fine, but Dante..." They knew where we'd be. Fury vibrated through him. Someone told them. Someone inside my organization. My blood ran cold. "Luca is safe. But this..." He gestured at the blood on his clothes. "This is what happens. This is why I tried to let you go. I'm not going anywhere. You should." He stepped back and I saw the guilt on his face. "You could have died tonight, Emma, because of me, because being with me makes you a target. I knew the risks. Knowing and experiencing are different." His voice cracked slightly. "I saw you under that table. I saw the fear on your face, and all I could think was that I'd brought this to your door, that my selfishness would get you killed. It's not selfish to want to be with someone. It is when I'm me." He sank onto a couch, suddenly looking exhausted. 4 men are dead tonight. I killed 3 of them myself. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat because they threatened you. Do you understand how twisted that is?" I crossed to him, kneeling between his legs like I had in his office weeks ago. "I understand that you protected me. I'm a monster, Emma. You're a man who protects his family." I caught his face, forcing him to look at me. "Yes, tonight was terrifying. Yes, I saw violence I'll never forget. But I also saw you risk yourself for everyone in that restaurant. I saw you put yourself between the bullets and innocent people. That's not a monster. That's..." "Don't." He pulled away, standing abruptly. "Don't make me into something I'm not. I'm not a hero. I killed those men because they were in my way. Because they threatened what's mine. Not because of some noble purpose." "Then why are you so torn up about it?" He stared at me, jaw working. "Because I don't want you to see me like that, to know what I'm capable of." Too late. I already know. I stood, closing the distance between us again. "And I'm still here." "For how long?" Pain bled through his voice. "How long before you wake up next to a killer and can't stomach it anymore?" "Is that what you think? That I'm so fragile I'll run at the first sign of blood?" "You should run. Any sane person would." "Then I guess I'm not sane." I grabbed his blood-stained shirt. Because I'm not going anywhere, Dante. You don't get to make that choice for me. He caught my wrists, holding them trapped against his chest. I can't lose you. Then stop pushing me away. We stood there, breathing hard, the air between us electric with fear and anger and desperate need. I need to shower, he finally said. I need to get this blood off me. Okay. Then we need to talk. Really talk about what staying with me means. Okay. He kissed my forehead, gentle despite everything. I'm sorry you saw that tonight. I'm not. I met his eyes. I needed to see all of you, not just the parts you want to show me. Something shifted in his expression. You're terrifying, you know that? Good. Someone needs to scare you as much as you scare me. A ghost of a smile crossed his face before he headed toward the bathroom. I sank onto the couch, my hands still shaking, adrenaline finally crashing through my system. I'd seen Dante kill tonight, seen him move with brutal efficiency, ending lives without hesitation. And God help me, I was still here, still choosing this, still choosing him. Maybe that made me crazy. Maybe it made me damaged. Or maybe it just made me his. Dante found the traitor 2 days later. Marcus, one of his oldest associates, a man he'd trusted for 15 years. I have to handle this, Dante told me over breakfast. It won't be pretty. I set down my coffee. I want to come with you. Absolutely not. You said I needed to understand your world. This is part of it, isn't it? His jaw tightened. This is the worst part. The part where I become everything you should fear. I'm not afraid of you. You will be after this. But I was tired of being protected from reality. Take me with you, or I'll follow on my own. He stared at me for a long moment, warring with himself. Finally, he nodded once. You stay in the car. You don't speak. You don't interfere. Understood? Understood. An hour later, we pulled up to a warehouse on the industrial edge of the city. My hands were cold despite the warm day. Dante didn't look at me as we exited the car. Last chance to change your mind. I'm not changing my mind. Inside the warehouse, Marcus was tied to a chair. Blood already stained his face. Luigi and the others had started without us. Dante! Marcus's voice was thick with fear. Please, let me explain. Explain how you sold out my nephew? Dante's voice was ice. Explain how you told them where we'd be at the restaurant? Explain how you've been feeding information to my enemies for 6 months? They threatened my daughter, and you think I wouldn't have protected her? Dante's rage was controlled, but absolute. You think I would have let them touch her if you'd come to me? Instead, you chose to betray me. You chose to put Emma at risk. Luca, everyone. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't bring back the 3 people who died at that restaurant. Sorry doesn't erase the danger you put my family in. I watched from the doorway, my stomach churning. This was justice in Dante's world, swift and brutal. Please, Marcus begged, for old times. There are no old times when you betray family. Dante pulled a gun from his jacket. You know how this ends. Dante, wait! The words left me before I could stop them. He turned, surprise flickering across his face. Emma, I told you not to interfere. I know, but... I stepped forward, ignoring Luigi's warning hand. His daughter. Is she really in danger? Dante's eyes narrowed. Probably, but that doesn't excuse... I'm not excusing it. I'm asking if there's another way. A way that doesn't make his daughter an orphan. You don't understand what you're asking. I understand that mercy is sometimes stronger than violence. I moved closer to Dante, lowering my voice. You're not just a killer. You're a leader. Show him what that means. For a terrible moment, I thought he'd refuse. Thought his need for vengeance would override everything else. Then he lowered the gun slightly. Bring in his daughter. I want her under my protection within the hour. He looked at Marcus with contempt. You get one chance. One. You work for me now, but you'll never be trusted again. You'll do the jobs no one else wants, take the risks no one else will take, and if you ever betray me again, I won't just kill you. I'll make sure you watch everything you love burn first." Marcus collapsed in relief. "Thank you, God. Thank you." "Don't thank me? Thank her." Dante gestured at me. "She just saved your miserable life." We left the warehouse in tense silence. In the car, Dante finally spoke. "You shouldn't have done that." "Why not?" "Because now every person in my organization knows you're my weakness. They know you can influence me, make me soft." "Are you angry?" He was quiet for a long moment. "No, I'm terrified." "Of what?" "That you're right, that there are other ways." He looked at me, something vulnerable in his eyes. "My whole life has been built on fear and force. You're asking me to consider alternatives I don't know how to navigate." "You don't have to navigate them alone." His hand found mine, squeezing gently. "You realize what you did back there? You chose to save someone who nearly got you killed. That's not rational. Neither is falling for a mafia boss. I think rationality left the building weeks ago." A small smile tugged at his lips. "True? So what happens now?" "Now I finish cleaning up this mess. Make sure there are no other traitors. Secure our position." He pressed a kiss to my knuckles. "And then, if you're still willing, we figure out what a life together actually looks like." "I'm willing." "Even knowing what I am? What I'll always be?" "Even knowing." I leaned against his shoulder. "I'm not asking you to change, Dante. I'm just asking you to let me stand beside you." "That might be the most dangerous place of all." "Then I guess we're both in danger." He wrapped his arm around me, holding me close as Luigi drove us back to the safe house. Outside, the city moved on, oblivious to the violence and mercy and impossible choices happening in its shadows. But inside this car, two people who shouldn't work found a way to fit together anyway. And if the world thought that was impossible, we'd just have to prove them wrong. 6 months later, I stood in Dante's actual home for the first time, a sprawling estate outside the city that he'd kept hidden until now. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked, walking through rooms filled with antiques and history. "Because I want you to move in." He watched my reaction carefully. "Properly. Not as someone in hiding, but as someone who belongs here." My heart stuttered. "That's a big step." "I know." He took my hand. "I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet. The world I live in, marriage makes you an even bigger target. But I want you here. I want to wake up with you every morning and know you're safe." "Safe is relative in your world." "True. But I've restructured things. Marcus's betrayal showed me weaknesses I didn't know existed. I've consolidated power, eliminated threats, built better protections." He pulled me closer. "It's not perfect. It never will be. But it's better than it was." I looked around at the beautiful, dangerous home. "And Luca?" "Visits on weekends. He adores you, by the way. Won't stop asking when you're going to be his aunt officially." I laughed despite myself. "He's not subtle. He's 7. Subtlety isn't his strong suit." Dante's expression softened. "But he's right to ask. I want this, Emma. A life with you. As much of one as my world allows." "What about children?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. "Do you want them?" He was quiet for a moment. "I never thought I did. The life I lead, it's not conducive to family. But with you," he cupped my face. "With you, I want things I never let myself consider before. So yes, someday, if you want them, if you're willing to raise them in this world." "It's terrifying." "Yes. But I want it too." I pressed my hand over his heart. "I want a life with you, Dante, even knowing it'll never be simple or safe." He kissed me then, soft and claiming and full of promise. When we broke apart, he pressed something into my hand. A key. "To this house," he said. "To my life. To everything I am." I closed my fingers around it, feeling the weight of the choice. No going back? Not for either of us. Months turned to years. I learned to navigate Dante's world, the violence and the loyalty, the danger and the protection. I kept working at my nonprofit, refusing to give up that part of myself, and Dante made sure I had the security to do it safely. We had fights, terrible ones where I saw his darkness and he saw my fear, but we always came back together, choosing each other again and again. Luca grew older, asking harder questions about his uncle's business. I helped Dante find words that were honest without being brutal. We became something like a family, broken and dangerous, but real. Sarah forgave me for the hospital eventually. She never fully understood my choice, but she accepted it. She came to dinner sometimes, always with a bodyguard escort, always wide-eyed at the world I'd entered. And Dante, he never stopped being dangerous. Never stopped killing when necessary. Never stopped building his empire. But he also learned mercy when I asked for it, learned to consider alternatives, learned that strength sometimes meant restraint. "Do you regret it?" he asked one night as we lay in bed. "Throwing yourself over Luca that day?" I thought about it honestly, about everything that choice had cost me, my innocence, my safety, my simple life. "No," I said finally. "Do you regret keeping me?" His arms tightened around me. "Every day I'm terrified I'll lose you. Every day I wonder if I'm being selfish. But regret it?" He kissed my temple. "Never." The threat never fully disappeared. There were always rivals, always dangers, always shadows at the edges of our life. Marcus proved loyal after his second chance, but others betrayed us over the years. Violence remained a constant companion, but so did love. I never forgot what I'd chosen. Never forgot that the man holding me had blood on his hands. But I also never forgot that those same hands were gentle with Luca, protective of the vulnerable, capable of building something good amidst the darkness. One evening, I stood at the window of our home, watching Luca play in the garden with the ever-present security detail nearby. I felt Dante come up behind me, his arms wrapping around my waist. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That this is my life now, really, truly mine." "Any regrets?" I leaned back against him, feeling safe despite everything. "Ask me in 50 years. He laughed, the sound rich and rare. "Deal." Outside, the sun set over the estate, painting everything in gold. Inside, two people who'd found each other in violence had built something like peace. It wasn't a fairy tale. The danger still existed. The darkness still lingered. There would be more fights, more threats, more moments where I questioned this choice. But there would also be mornings waking up in Dante's arms, evenings with Luca's laughter filling the house, quiet moments where the man everyone feared showed me the tenderness no one else saw. I'd thrown myself over a stranger's child in a coffee shop shooting, not knowing it would change everything. Not knowing I'd find love in the last place I should have looked. Not knowing I'd choose darkness and danger and a mafia boss's heart over every safe, rational option. But I did. And I'd make that choice again, every single time.